Brett Talman is a very astute former U.S. attorney for the state of Utah. He comes to us now from Salt Lake City. Okay, let's take it one by one. On the tweet that the FBI has uncovered in the last evaluation of Justice Kavanaugh, there's no doubt the leaks say that this former FBI agent McLean put some heat on Leland to change her testimony. Is that a crime?
Well, it very well could be. I mean, if you look at it dispassionately, this is a representation that is made to the Congress. And people say, well, she wasn't under oath. Well, any representation is governed by Section 1001, which says you cannot make any misrepresentations to a federal authority. So when McLean comes in and puts pressure on Keyser and says to her, hey, you need to change your statement, or whatever pressure, and we know it's pressure because those are the words that Keyser used, that she felt pressured to change her statement.
Right.
At that point, obstruction of justice is at the forefront of your mind. Anybody that's looking at this and has authority to investigate it.
Okay, so the FBI on its own, I'm not sure they would investigate this, but President Trump or Attorney General Sessions could order an investigation, could they not?
They absolutely could. And the other thing is the Judiciary Committee themselves could want to get to the bottom of it and could ask the Sergeant at Arms to look into the matter, depending on what was represented to the Senate. So I think there are several bodies that could investigate this issue.
But the Judiciary Committee couldn't order the FBI to do it. It would have to come from the Justice Department or President Trump.
That's right. It has to come from the Justice Department. I mean, even Trump asking the FBI to investigate a potential crime that occurred on the legislative side or involving legislative testimony would be unusual. It would most commonly come from the Department of Justice.
Okay, but you know as well as I do that those calls are made all the time, or those meetings are made all the time where the president says to the Attorney General, hey,
that's right.
This is what has to happen.
Well, and that's why you need a good working relationship between the president and the attorney general.
I know. But I can't imagine Sessions objecting to that. I mean, it just seems to be so, let's find out what happened. Now, as far as Feinstein is concerned, she is in this area where I don't see any criminality in her holding back that letter. I mean, it was purely a political play. However, somebody leaked the letter, and it absolutely could be somebody in her office. Is that a criminal thing?
Well, it is definitely something that needs to be looked into. And when I say looked into, in 2003, the Sergeant at Arms seized the Judiciary Committee's servers. I was there when it happened. He seized the servers because the Democrats had put documents, confidential documents, in a location where both Republicans and Democrats had access, but they were supposed to be Democrat-only access. At that point, they wanted to know the staffer that did it, how far the dissemination was, and they seized the servers and investigated it. And he had full authority to turn that either criminal or ethics charges based on what he found. I'd like to see that happen at the very least.
Yeah, so would I. I mean, a letter like that. And this is something that Christine Ford and her attorney should be asking for, right?
Well, they absolutely should.
They should be screaming, let's find out who leaked this, because we didn't want it leaked. We wanted to keep her confidential.
If it's genuine that she asked the committee, and specifically Feinstein, to keep it confidential, and was merely informing them so that they would have more, arsenal to ask questions of Kavanaugh during the hearings.
Well, maybe we'll see that soon. Maybe we'll see them come forth and ask for an investigation.
I think it would show a lot more sincerity in the original representations.
We're not going to see it. All right. The entire situation has now poisoned the two political parties. Now, Utah is a Republican state where you live. Where I live, New York, is a very liberal state. And it doesn't seem to be any common ground. As an American, somebody who knows the system very well, do you see that breach getting any better anytime soon?
I don't see the breach getting better. I do see there are avenues that and quite frankly, you look at something as simple as criminal justice reform, where both sides are agreeing, and the president is saying, I want prison reform. And who's holding it up? Democrats running for president, because they don't want to appear to work with this White House. As long as we keep seeing that as the landscape, I worry that we won't get, even on those areas where we could find common ground, an ability to work together.
All right, last question for you. When you have a situation where the whole structure has been attacked, all right, the whole nomination process of Brett Kavanaugh was attacked, all right, by Christine Ford's allegations and her attorneys, who drove those investigations into the press, and the press blew it up. Now there is evidence, if you read the Wall Street Journal article today, that George Soros funded groups, all right, went into Washington with one intent: disrupt and intimidate the entire process by confronting senators and other people. Is there any criminality in Soros funding groups that are in for disruption of our system? Can you see any way that Soros himself might be investigated?
There really is, and this is what federal conspiracy laws were targeting, was supposed to be targeting, and that is a conspiracy to harm the United States. If you have an individual through a systematic and paid for scheme or strategy to do damage to our government and constitutional protections, I'd like to have that exposed. Will it rise to the level of criminality? It very well could. We talk about collusion, which is not actually a crime, but conspiracy is. And if you have a conspiracy to harm the United States, very tough.
Very tough, because Soros has got a battery of lawyers that look at his donations, that look at what he does, and they're going to say, hey, look, we gave them money, but we didn't order anything. Blah, 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 blah. But, it's all the more reason for the FBI to look at the Kavanaugh situation. Listen, I'd love for that to happen, but the press is never going to go after Soros. Now, as you heard, if you criticize Soros, you're an anti-Semite. That's the latest from the New York Times guy. All right, Brad, as always, very good. We appreciate you helping us out, and I hope you'll continue to come back and shed some light on some of these things. Now,
absolutely, great to be with you.